Good morning, guys. This is John from John's Pipe Journey, and today I am comparing Burley morning pipe with Peterson's My Mixture 965. And one of the reasons why I did that is because I just happened to notice a similarity between my two pipes. The Peterson 408 silver spigot, it's a new Grange, it's a model, and the Savinelli 315 KS Eleganza. This one has a faux spigot connection. It's actually a mortise and tenon. This one is a real spigot connection, and it's silver. As you can see, it's kind of tarnished. But this is a 408, and this is a 315 KS, and they're very similar size bowls. So I just thought I would do a comparison. I almost got confused as to which was which. This one is the Burley morning pipe. So let me just light this one up. Hey, thanks, Greg. Notice I leave my tobacco pretty far down below the rim because I don't want to deal with burning the rims. I early on burned a bunch of my pipe's rims. Had a hard time cleaning that off. Thanks, Greg. Another thing I wanted to talk about is I felt bad with Carolina Rose was saying she was getting so burned out because she had to work weekends and so many hours extra because she has ADD and it's hard to keep organized. And I have ADD. It seems like every other person has ADD. I'm not sure if something's in the water or we're getting poisoned somehow. I'm not sure, but it seems like a ridiculously awful lot of people have issues with ADD. I was never diagnosed. I had never been diagnosed with ADD. I do know all through school I had horrible study habits, and that's probably what it was. I was blessed with extremely high IQ, and I think that's the only reason that kept me from ended up under a bridge somewhere. Anyway, I have little tricks. I also have some medicine I can take, but I don't like the side effects of it very much, so I don't take it unless I've got some really important thing to get done. A lot of times I take it Sunday morning before church because I have to teach I get to teach a new believers Sunday school class every morning. So that's pretty important. Anyway, made me think of it is I have to replace I did replace my wife's fuel pump in her 2015 Hyundai Elantra. She'd been having issues and fuel issues. Thing would just randomly like stall, and it has over 300,000 miles on it. So another reason why I replaced it, I didn't troubleshoot it as much as I normally would. One of the reasons, I don't have all the equipment I used to have. But anyway, beside the point, I replaced her fuel pump just because fuel pumps are not made to last 300,000 miles. And so I thought that would be a good place to start, because it was definitely a fuel issue, not an electrical issue. And so anyway, let me get this started. Sorry about this. I should have started both of them before. This is the Ken Byron's early Burley morning pipe. Thanks, Greg. It's a little Hobbit. I love Larry Blackett's tampers. I end up collecting tampers now. So pipe smoking has too many extra things you can collect if you're a collector. I'm starting to have a collection of lighters too. Anyway, let me try this with a lighter. Speaking of lighters, this is one of my favorite ones. Thank you, Greg. Thanks, Greg. Anyway, I'm really liking the Burley morning pipe better than the My Mixture 965. I've got black coffee that's lukewarm, room temperature, that I made last night. I'll have to do a video on how I make my cowboy coffee. Yeah, I think I like the Burley morning pipe better than the My Mixture 965. I'll trying to do an A/B test here. That's my engineering side. Well, it's close. Okay, anyway, back to my story. I replaced that. When I got done, the issue ended up being the exhaust. It's got variable valve timing, and the exhaust the variable valve, it's the valve that controls the exhaust, the timing of the exhaust valves. That was bad, so I replaced that, and that fixed it. However, the check engine light stayed on constantly after that, and it used to go on and off, so I knew it had to be something different. So I checked it, and the code was for fuel tank pressure, or evap system pressure, which is an evaporative fuel system. It's the system that keeps the gas fumes from going out into the atmosphere and polluting code. I thought, okay, I just replaced the fuel pump, and obviously, since that was the last thing I did, fuel related, there's got to be something up with the fuel pump. And my first thought was, oh wow, I must have pushed one of the connectors way back up underneath the lip of the. I'm going to show you a little bit of it, and I must have pushed it way back up underneath there to get that in, so it might not have popped out, and I didn't notice that, and forgot to connect it, which that's not like me, but I thought maybe that's happened. So I just thought I left off a connection in the fuel pump. Because there's two connectors. There's one for the fuel pump, and there's also the fuel tank pressure sensors in there. And what that does is it just as your fuel it's used up, there's more air in the tank, and there's a sensor in there that's checking the pressure to see if it's dropping unusually fast, or things like that. It can tell there's a leak somewhere. And not just in the tank, there's like hoses that come out. But anyway, so I'm making this more complicated than it is. I apologize for that. But anyway, I thought maybe that I forgot to, I thought, oh wow, there's I didn't take the old one off the fuel pump and put it on the fuel pump. So that's probably what happened. So anyway, I took the seat out and looked at it, and it came with its own new fuel tank pressure sensor. So my only thought was, and it was connected, so I just thought maybe that was just a, it was not an OEM part, which is original equipment manufacturer, so maybe it's not working as well as the one that's made by Hyundai does. Thanks, Greg. So I took the back seat out and looked, and then I also took the one that came with the fuel pump. I disconnected the electrical connection to it, and then I took it out, ended up breaking it, unfortunately. But then I went in and I got the old one off the old fuel pump, and I cleaned it all off. And I put it back in there. I reinstalled that one, and then my wife took the car this morning, so hopefully that check engine light will go away. Anyway, the reason why I videotaped a little of that just in case somebody might be halfway interested, plus I might put it on my other channel too. But what I did do, which I've never done before ever, is I've never let anybody stick their head in my garage because I'm so ashamed of it. I've wanted to get this thing, and I've tried working on it for probably the last 5 years or more to clean it out, and I've never been able to get it cleaned out. Like it's a nightmare, complete nightmare. Like I'm tripping over things. But what I did was I brought you guys into that space so you could actually see what the inside of a garage looks like with somebody with ADD. And that's why tying this whole thing together, this long-winded story together. So I just bring the camera in there, and I don't give you a big view, but I briefly have you look around in there. But the weird part is I've got tons of toolboxes in there, and every one of them is completely neat as a pin. Neater than anybody else's toolbox that I've ever seen, in fact. I'm not sure why that is. I can keep that neat, but I can't. The entire garage is a horrible mess. So if anybody has any reasons why they think that might be, let me know. It might be as simple as my toolboxes have a place for everything, and anything that I don't necessarily have a place for is just piled around in piles. Oh, maybe I better explain that because it sounds like I'm talking about future and stuff. I repaired that already. I didn't do this part of the video, this intro, so I'm putting this intro in now. And I'm going to stitch all the other videos together that I already did because it's already fixed and she's already gone to work and stuff. So anyway, I hope that it's of interest. And I'm thinking I might like Burley Morning Pipe better, but not positive. Thanks, Greg. Wow, I will tell you this, it's practically a tie, but I think we'll have to determine this later on. Definitely loving both of these pipes. Tell me what you think of these two pipes. They're pretty much the same shape. This is kind of like maybe a large Prince shape, and this is, I would call that a pot or maybe a apple. I think it's more of a pot shaped. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll call that a pot. If you guys know, let me know. I'll sign off too. Until we meet again, God bless. Hang on if you want to see the rest of this. I first need to remove the rear seat. Under the rear seat is the access port to the gas tank and the fuel pump. It's held down with tar-like putty. Mine's already been removed a couple of times. Right here is the fuel tank pressure sensor. I'm going to replace that with the original one from the old fuel tank fuel pump. The fuel pump that you can see, this blue, I replaced because I was having issues with fuel pressure, and the car has over 300,000 miles on it, so it's definitely lived out its life. The new one came with the fuel tank pressure sensor, and I'm going to see if the old one is functioning better than the new one. Here is the new fuel tank pressure, or the old fuel tank pressure sensor. I blew it out and I'm going to try to install it. Unfortunately, I snapped off this snout of the new one inside the housing for the fuel pump. So I'm praying that this one is a working one and the other one was not. Get it out, but I pushed it in. So I'm going to try to put the old one in place of the new one. I got it replaced, so now I'll just have to drive the car and see if the code goes away. This is very embarrassing, but I'm going to show you guys the inside of a garage that somebody with ADD owns. I have been able to neaten up some shelves. That big piece of cardboard's there just because that's what I use to lay down on when I have to work under the truck. But the rest, that is pretty straightened up. And this section over here is fairly neat. These bottom bins, the one on the left is plumbing, the one in the middle is painting, and the one on the right is electrical. It has some loppers in there that should be taken out. Here's my disc sander / belt sander, and right there is my wire wheel. And over there in the corner is my drill press. But when it comes to my tools, I never had an issue. Here's one of my screwdriver drawers. Phillips and Posi-Drive down here, and flat bladed up there. Little ones kind of in the middle. So, and this one, this drawer's got like electronic size pliers and nippers and stuff in it. So you can see my tools are fairly neatly organized, but then you look up here, here's an open top of it, and it's just stuff piled up. This is pneumatic stuff. Down here is a couple of boxes. It's a relay test kit, and there's something underneath it. But my main toolbox, as you can see, it's got 3 bins, like all my sockets, and torque wrenches are in here. That doesn't look like somebody with ADD. They're all lined up like soldiers. The black ones are air impact tools. The chrome ones are to be used by hand ratchets or breaker bars, etc. Under here are wrenches. So I don't seem to have an ADD issue with tools, but open a couple more. These are pliers. These are pliers, mostly the cutters are down here. Slip joint or arc joint pliers, or some people call them channel locks, are in here. And then these up here are snap ring pliers. That over there is a spark plug plier. This one down below are regular pliers, like a needle nose. The ones like that right there you can see as for grabbing rounded objects like hoses and stuff. So I just don't get it. Another drawer. Oh, this is punches and files and stuff. And here's some air tools and a few giant hammers that I didn't have room for. But then you look at all this, and it's a nightmare. My pliers, or my hammers, are down here. So, as you can see before, I ran out of space. So That's why those other ones are there. I'm not going to bore you with opening the other drawers, and I have all these toolboxes filled with tools, and they're all neatly put away. Like this red one up here, this has more screwdrivers in it in the bottom drawer. You can see that in there. And this is for precision measuring stuff, is in here. This is nut drivers. So, I hope you're not getting sick. Anyway, I never have shown this to anyone, but I've been trying to clean this out for 4 or 5 years now, and before I can make any headway, I stop working on it, and then when I get back to it, it's worse than before. So it's just something that I've got to bite the bullet and maybe get help from my mental health therapist wife to help me clean this out. Anyway, I just replaced that pressure sensor, and I just thought some people might be interested in that. To take the seat out of an Elantra, these things right here, there's a bolt that goes into a hole that's right, where is it? Right down there. There's 2 of them, one on each side. So this one you have to feel around, you have to reach between the back seat and push your hands down in between the back seat, the bottom of the back seat and the back of the seat cushion, feel around for the bolt, and then use a swivel socket on a, or I like to use a swivel adapter, and take that out. And then that fits underneath, and then there's in the front, there's the socket, and there's the part that pushes in. So that's how you get the front in, it just snaps in. That's how you take an Elantra seat out.